Conserving 915 friends. We are Conserving 915. Welcome to episode number 4. We are your host, Angel.
El Pinche Steve is here.
Ruben.
And Dave.
And we have a fresh batch of topics to go over with you all. But before we do that, we just want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you for all the comments and the feedback we received over the last few weeks. We're really happy with all the comments you've had, and hopefully we're able to open up a really nice dialogue. Well, with most people, there's been a few people who they like to make comments, and unfortunately, when you respond, you ask them, "Oh, well, what do you mean?" They get, I guess, they take that as an offense, and they start insulting you. But anyway, It's all good. They're our brothers, our sisters, and our neighbors. So we're gonna hopefully treat them kindly, and maybe we can learn from each other. But anyway, I guess let's go ahead and kick it off with Ruben. You want to go first, Ruben?
This was actually David's, no? David?
No.
Oh, we're going to start with our video? Okay,
Yeah.
We're going to talk about our friendly newcomers joining us to a neighborhood near you. And, this is a model of total respect for the law and for the people that are taking care of you. Mm-hmm. And this is the way it is. Model citizens. You want to go ahead and...
Are we...
Oh, Steve, yeah.
So that means that they're taking to heart the message we tried to push out in the Summer of Love.
Exactly.
Yeah, mostly peaceful protesters, mostly peaceful immigrants. Oh, great. Great.
Are we doing
Except for
slashes?
violent extremist Christians. Those guys are the really, really bad guys. Sorry.
Stay away from those.
Sorry, David, what did you say?
Should I see myself out?
Oh, yeah. We better call the cops. We're going to call the cops on the 4 of us, on ourselves. Those pro-lifers, dang them so much.
So we're going to go ahead and start this little news video from Fox News.
This is almost like, it's so peaceful, it's almost like Woodstock all over again.
Woodstock
That
99?
was because there was a lot of weed involved.
Okay. Well, who knows?
We got fentanyl now.
Oh,
That's
geez,
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anyways,
If you were looking for a bright side, it's that.
Yeah, so go ahead and get your notepads out, pen, paper, take notes on how to be a model citizen. I mean, these guys are newcomers and they're showing us how to behave because we've been doing it wrong all this time.
Washington,
Such
look
patriotism.
at this insane video. A group of migrants in New York City are arrested after attacking NYPD officers in Times Square. 5 were arrested, and 4 are already released without bail.
All right, the brawl started when 2 officers were trying to break up a rowdy crowd near a migrant shelter on 42nd Street. While arresting one of the men, the other said, "Hey, I'm not going to just sit there. I'll jump in. I'll start kicking. I'll stop punching the officers. After all, I don't belong in this country anyway. I could beat up an NYPD officer. What'll actually happen?" The Manhattan DA's office saying it's investigating the incident as police search for 5 other men involved. Every part of this incident could have been avoided if you didn't allow 67,000 people to call New York home who don't belong here. And what happened is, instead of being grateful, they're creating chaos. They get free food, free laundry. Right. They can do whatever they want, free shelter. And when they start fighting each other and NYPD comes to enforce the law, they beat up the cops.
Right.
Forget you trying to wrap your head around that.
Listen, the actual number, according to the New York Post, and they had this story exclusively, 172,000 migrants have come to New York City. Since, in the last year and a half. 172,000, 67,000 are currently in shelters. Obviously, if these guys were over by the migrant shelter, you can connect the dots. They were probably living there. Here's the thing. One of the... and by the way, they did bust in all 5 people. 2 19-year-olds, a 21-year-old, and a 24-year-old, and of course all single males. And weren't we told a while back the people being led across the border were all in family units? Anyway, one of those migrants apparently has 2 open cases for assault and robbery. He's already been arrested twice. In November, he punched and pushed and bit a Nordstrom Rack employee who said, "Hey, you can't steal that $130 item from the store, pal." Well, he didn't like that. He bit the person. And then in December, he punched with a closed fist a loss prevention officer down at the big Macy's on 34th Street, and he was trying to pull off another robbery with 2 other people. So how hard is it to get deported in this country if you're breaking the law and beating up cops?
That's the question. And this story and this video that you're seeing right here, It's the cross section of so many things we talk about every single day with all the issues in cities and countries across the country where it's attacks on police.
Yeah.
It's the illegal immigrant crisis. It's also the bail policies that are contributing to all of this. And yeah, like you said, Steve, one guy had already has 2 open cases, so he's now a repeat offender. And you just have to think about the mentality of this group of 5 people who, by the way, are claiming asylum. This does
They've
not
all been released,
Yeah,
too. They've been stopped and released.
Because of
Steve,
that,
I
it's
think that's
behavior
enough. You
of
can
people
probably cut it.
who
You know what?
are-
I hope they didn't mistreat these guys when they arrested them. I hope they read their Miranda rights and got them a good attorney. Just the audacity to put these guys away.
There's
While
a
they
couple-
were serving their country,
Why would
their new country.
put them in jail? That's just ridiculous.
There's a couple of comments that come into mind, and I don't know if you guys will agree with it, but the first thing that I wanted to bring up while I was seeing this is Chip Roy, his opening statement yesterday during a congressional testimony on what's going on in the border crisis. He actually made this an issue, and he brought it up that the fact that there's like a lot of violence going on, that's actually as a result of the illegal immigration that's been going on the southern border, and it's affecting people in all 50 states. And
Well, I thought the violence with the cops against them, putting them away.
and extremely heinous crimes too that are going on. Not only do we have thousands of terrorists coming in, we just have we have thousands of terrorists and criminals coming in through the southern border. But second, and I think the 3 of y'all will actually agree with me on this too, but why would any illegal immigrant have any fear of any type of law enforcement if they're able to cross the border unhindered, and they're crossing into a country who doesn't enforce their own border laws? Why would they have any respect for law enforcement? Why would they have any respect for our laws?
Yeah, not even border
Is this
laws.
really a surprise to any of you all, just based on that simple fact?
Not even just border laws, but they can get away with almost anything. Obviously, we're seeing exhibit, I don't know, AAA out of, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many of these people they know that they can cross over without any, barrier?
You get
And
a
then-
reward for crossing over.
And you can do whatever you want once you get here.
Yeah.
And if somebody tries to tell you you can't do that, you kick them in the face.
Yeah.
Plus, on top of that, most of them are using the seeking asylum thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these guys don't really look like they were scared of anything, or running away from anything.
But what kind of asylum? Because what I've seen is they're escaping. I don't know, that they're trying to get here on the basis of economic asylum. Like they're just trying to escape
Well,
poverty.
they're coming to the wrong place because a lot of people here in the United States are starting to need economic asylum of their own. So
They might have been also refugees from the whole climate crisis. They had to come up here to experience a little bit what's cold is.
right.
Of course, look at one of the poor guys, the repeat offender. Well, he needed to steal from Nordstrom.
Well, he's probably getting one of those
big-
like little rubber duckies and for when the sea levels rise.
Yeah,
a couple of lifesavers and stuff like that. A snorkel, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we shouldn't. I don't know. We shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe he was just getting ready for the global warming.
Maybe.
He's getting ready for global warming by coming all the way to New York.
Everybody knows a $5,000 purse from Nordstrom will definitely protect you from the solar rays and the extreme heat of that global warming. A few of $5,000 purses, actually.
I wonder what that Nordstrom guy did to him. He must have. How dare he piss this guy off?
No, but he was probably just hungry.
Hungry for some of that delicious faux leather.
Faux leather.
So, anyways, I hope he got his rubber duckies and his lifesavers, all the things he's gonna need for the global warming. And you know what? Is New York a good place to pick for the global warming? Is that like high? I thought New York was one of the places that was gonna be under sea level. So you probably should have picked Denver, Mile High City.
Appalachian.
Maybe something more appropriate. Maybe we should. Maybe they got him the wrong bus ticket to go to New York. We should have gotten him a bus ticket to
The
go
poor
to
guy
Denver.
doesn't even understand the language. He didn't know where they were shipping him to, man.
Oh, man.
Well, I guess they can always house them at the Empire State Building.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, yeah.
pretty
I
high.
hope those accommodations satisfy him.
No,
What do you guys
maybe
think?
to really stick it to him, Maybe you should just give him like Trump Tower there.
Maybe.
He'll take the sweet.
So, anyways, I guess you guys can make up your own mind about the video. There's not a lot to say. Everything's there.
And unfortunately, this is only one out of hundreds, maybe even thousands of cases that are going on just like this. It's extremely unfortunate what's happening to the American public as a result of this mass immigration that's going on.
But let it be clear that Conservative 915 nor us personally are saying that every single individual that's crossing is an offender, is violent, will not fend well in our culture, in our society, and will not be productive.
Well, that excludes I agree with everything that Steve just said, minus the whole part about breaking the law to get in here first. Like that's, I guess, the first part about it.
Well, yeah, you have to do something pretty bad to start it off.
Minus that first activity, yes, I agree with everything.
But here's the thing:
Steve just said.
even people way back when the border wasn't necessarily completely closed, like there were illegal aliens crossing through, but a lot of them were crossing through to work. You know, they actually were chasing the American dream and trying to like meld in with the culture here in the States. Like, I want to think about our parents. They came over here looking to they wanted a big family. So, and how do you take care of them? Well, we hear that the USA is good for making money as long as you're a hard worker. And that's something that's been instilled in, well, at least I took it. I don't know about you, Steve. I that was instilled in me, like that desire to work hard to provide. Like, it's not just about to get the Benjamins and live a super comfortable life. It's because as a man, you know, you have to be able to provide not just for yourself, but for those around you. If you have a family, your family, or your tight-knit community, like, the fulfillment of a man really comes to him when he provides for his family.
And it's also a very Christian value because you are laying down your life in betterment of those who come after you, or those around you. So it's all around goodness.
Yeah, but the point is, people would want to come here and be part of the USA, not come here and just, you know, apply your will in all facets. I don't care about your country. I just want to be here for the handout. You know, that's all I'm here for. I'm just here because I heard that it's really easy to steal from the stores. You know.
Well, it's not easy. They got to keep it down to what's the limit?
Below $1,000.
Below 1,000.
1,000 per. Is that
day.
per visit
Per day.
or
Per
you have to
visit.
wait a day?
Yeah, it's just a one-a-day coupon.
Okay, and then they probably get points for shopping too. And
I'm sure they do.
I saw a picture literally of a Hershey's bar locked up in a plastic case earlier
Get outta
today,
here.
dude. It was freaking crazy. I couldn't believe my eyes. And then there was
But that was Photoshop.
probably maybe, I don't know.
That was an AI image.
But there was a congresswoman giving testimony about how the Walgreens leaving their community was like a huge detriment to minorities, Hispanics, and black folks because they wouldn't have access to medicines, they wouldn't have access to food. But I mean, what do you expect when you're allowed to walk out of the store with $999 worth of merchandise without any sort of repercussions or effects?
is that including tax or?
Would any business be able to stay profitable and open with those kinds of laws and policies? You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you'd see stores close down, and then no one, not even people who have the capacity to pay, will have access to these medicines or goodies or whatever.
I have a really difficult time too understanding like who is actually in agreement with this stuff, with her wagging her finger at the store, you know, rather than wagging her finger at the actual root cause of the issues, you know.
Which is kind of like part of the theme of tonight or today, if you're watching in the day. What we're trying to get to is, there's a lot of complaints, but why? What's the root cause of these things? We'll discuss a little more, but I don't know. You guys want to add anything else on this particular story?
No.
That video must have been faked. It comes from Fox News.
Yeah, fake
Faux
news.
news, FAUX, faux news.
Faux, absolutely.
Oh, shots fired. That's it. We're never going to be contributors to Fox News now.
/S. That's not a gang sign. That's not a gang sign.
I was like,
/S.
We could put up a graphic, Angel. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Pantomime it.
Yeah, you can
My
cut that
bad,
out.
guys.
So, in any case, we are giving absolute freedom to these people who are not showing any sense of actually deserving it. And while we have a whole DOJ that's going against.
Well, that's not going after the people they should be. They're going
Exactly.
after some other kinds of people.
Exactly. And so I bring to the table another piece of news. It's kind of absolutely like distraughting because we see that the Tennessee pro-lifers, 6 of them have been found guilty of violating the FACE Act. Which,
Were they ugly or what?
They actually had face.
Oh, they had the face.
No, they had face, as in they had dignity.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So, anyways.
So what's the whole deal with this? So there was
What is the deal with these pro-lifers?
So pro-lifers tend to be very open about. Well, at least these has shown themselves to be quite open about their opinions, and they try to. The words that they use is rescue certain women couples who decide to abort their children in unaliving clinics or abortion clinics around the United States. Why? Because they're trying to serve this person and say, you're doing something wrong. Like, you're going to hurt yourself. You're not just hurting a bunch of cells that's inside of you. You're going to hurt yourself in the end. And
Well, that's one thing they don't understand. For a lot of these people, they kind of block themselves out, block out the idea of some sort of spiritual harm that might be like come down on them. It's only physical. Like the world is physical, and there's nothing outside of it. There's nothing metaphysical. That's why. Well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal if it's just a bunch of cells, like you said? Mm-hmm. Like, it does no harm to me, when they have no idea how much harm they're doing to them spiritually, to themselves. Mm-hmm. But it's something that a lot of these people, either they block it out because they don't want to think of the horror, or they don't care because they don't really believe in that sort of metaphysical aspect of all of this going on. And we're not just saying, or at least me personally, I'm not saying that every time that you go abort, you're sacrificing soul to the devil. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But I'm not saying that every single time. And like some of these women, some of these girls, they're desperate and they've been sold a lie. Like, oh, it'll make everything so much better. And like, close yourself to life, actually. And that way you can pursue your own happiness. Right? Because that's all that matters. In the end, that's all that matters is your own well-being, your own happiness, whatever you perceive to be your well-being and your happiness.
And unfortunately, we're seeing that a lot of people are minimizing or selling out happiness to being just not being inconvenienced.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why we get a bunch of like medications for everything nowadays. Like, because it's too inconvenient to take care of yourself. Well, I mean, I'm one to talk, but personally, I'm trying to take a better route of taking care of myself, but it's a big inconvenience for me. But that doesn't mean that I have to go get surgery because I need like results now. Like, no, it's a process. Everything's a process. Getting in this bad of a shape took a long time, So I have to.
It's gonna take a while to reverse that.
It's gonna take a while, and it's inconveniencing for me. Yes, of course, but all in all, that's the best course of action.
And I already know there's like a few folks that are gonna listen to this. Not everybody. I think there's quite a few folks that are open-minded that are watching this show. But I do know that there's going to be quite a few people that are watching and listening to this that are going to be really upset by this. So I just wanted to throw in a few more notes too. Even from like the women's perspective themselves, I think Kaya Jones, she used to be a member of the Pussycat Dolls, and she actually like wrote about this. I think she has a Grammy. They toured the world, but none of that stuff that I ever did in my entire life that I gave my baby for is going to bring that baby back.
Yeah.
And it's really hurtful for her. And I'm just saying Kaya Jones because like she's a person of influence and a celebrity, but there's literally thousands and thousands of this very same story from other women too. And I understand like it's 4 guys, But it's not just us saying this; it's also like a huge group of women who are also saying the same thing too.
But ever since she said that, she is no longer famous.
Who?
Like infamous now.
That
Okay.
she's-
So we're not saying that all the cases that's happening in the clinics are as we're speaking.
That too.
That's so superficial. That it's just about circumstance. It's just about convenience or not inconvenience. But we're saying that every person has the right to be told that they're doing something wrong. It's your right to hear that. It's your right to be corrected. Because you need to be corrected at times. If not, we're going to end up with mostly peaceful immigrants, like we heard earlier. So these Christians are doing that for these couples in this dire time because they need another voice to help them, like, make the right decision.
I'm just hoping they did it as peacefully as a previous video.
At least that's peaceful.
They did the worst thing possible. Like, it's like the worst thing possible.
They showed up with guns.
They
They
showed
started
up-
shooting doctors.
They showed up with Bibles and hymns. The most terrorizing thing ever.
No way.
Well, no, I know where they went
That's
wrong.
not acceptable.
They showed up with hymns and not hers.
Dude, come on, David. Just go ahead. Don't say this guy anymore.
I'm sorry, guys. He's a dad. He's a
Yeah, I'm
dad.
dead. I'm sorry. As soon as my first was born. Let me phrase it a little better. Sorry, honey. Like, I just felt gigabytes of dad jokes download into my brain. Oh no, bad puns. I can't stop thinking about bad puns.
We need that, man. It's beautiful. It adds a little extra flavor to the show.
So the thing is that they're protesting, they're singing, they're giving their testimony to couples that were willing to hear, of course, and they made a blockade to stop people from entering the clinic. And these people were shooed off with a minuscule number of 35 police officers. Very minuscule. Like,
So
barely
there were
any
like
presence.
2 or 3 officers to handle the peaceful immigrants, but a whole platoon to escort these dangerous pro-lifers.
Just because there was a grandma in a wheelchair, man. Those are
Oh,
really
you should
difficult.
see my grandma.
Do we have
Like,
any
once they lock
footage?
the wheel, dude, it's really difficult
Well,
to get them.
let's check it out.
And
Steve.
anything will be post.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna leave a link in the description, so you can go ahead and see what the blockade is. Because I checked various other newspapers, and they would tell you there was a blockade. It was a manifestation, or our own very own attorney, the U.S. attorney, that's saying that this was a win for the rule of law.
Oh.
Because 6 pro-lifers were condemned of felon charges. So they're looking up to 10.5 years of prison.
That's it?
That's it,
No.
and only for the
Ridiculous, man.
cheap cost, the low cost of $260,000 of bail.
Oh, that's the
That's
the
low
fee,
of
the
bail.
fine.
Yeah, that's the fine.
I hope that's a 10%. The two, or is that the?
That's only for bail.
Yeah, well, that's only. Yeah, no, that's low, man. These guys deserve more. You need
We
to
gotta
get these guys away.
We gotta lock up that granny that was in the wheelchair blocking
That
the
lady
door.
in the
But all
wheelchair
those guys
especially, yeah.
kicking those police officers, you guys are free to go.
She was a mastermind. You could tell.
The mastermind. You should have seen her singing.
Oof.
She was right. She was behind it. Forget the pastor. It was the grandma. It was the grandma. So in any case.
/S.
In any case, my dear Americans, enjoy your religious liberties.
Well, if you're Muslim, you do have 100% religious liberty, or an atheist, because atheism is a religion. Don't fool yourselves.
And Satanists also.
Oh, of course.
Don't forget about the Satanists.
Even the ones that think I'm not worshiping Satan. Well, I mean, you think you're not, but you are.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that. I'm not sure what to add to that. But yeah. Oh, actually, and I wanted to add one more note. And I really like Steve's what he brought to this conversation. But the other thing too, guys, like I've been to a few of those prayer rallies outside of the abortion clinic myself. I think I've done like 2 or 3, but Like definitely probably don't block the entrances or anything. You know, you're there just to pray, you know, and show their support. And but I mean, also don't act crazy, which I don't think these guys were acting crazy. I saw the footage of this, and I think they could have just like went ahead and like removed some of these folks. I'm not sure if any of that stuff on that footage was actually deserving of 11 years in prison. You know,
And that for not throwing a punch. Maybe if they threw a punch, they would like chip away at the.
If they threw a punch, they wouldn't have been convicted.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe a kick.
No, they have they're citizens, so they probably would have been convicted.
Oh, well, there you go. That was the reason.
that just clicked right now.
Well, going back to the point that Angel just made, it's in the Bible. Like Christ said himself, be wise as serpents, but simple as doves. So, yes, I understand their feelings, their strong feelings about the abortion clinics, but it wasn't the way.
Yeah, don't leave yourself open to persecution.
Yeah, because not everything you do will lead to martyrdom. Yeah, God asks the Christians to give their life for the world. So,
Just maybe some of the decisions that were made might have been unwise.
unwise.
All right, so let's
Christians do better. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. Slash S.
In any case,
We all doing our best.
talking
out here.
about wise decisions. Wise decisions of like what, David?
In the economic front?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Well, we have another story here. It's kind of like a tie-in to the first one, just because of what's the reason behind all of these radical changes in our economy, especially. We've talked about inflation, the massive printing of money that's causing the inflation, and the complete disregard to the stability of the dollar. Like just the Fed completely abusing their power that they really shouldn't have. The Federal Reserve, it's like a private institution. It's not an actual.
It is a federal institution. I mean, it is a private institution.
That's what I'm saying. They call themselves the Federal Reserve, but they're not really working for the government. Like the government is working for them. You know what I'm saying?
And the Fed, guys.
That is true. But why do we say all this? Because according to the Texas Tribune, and I'm going to them because I found their take on it very interesting. How Texans are facing a bigger burden than ever to pay rent, according to studies.
Oh, the studies, there we
Those
go.
wonderful studies. No, so Texas Tribune is just you can read through the thing.
Dave, if I can interrupt, even without these studies, do you think the average Texan figured this out on their own, or did they need studies and an article to tell them?
And a professor in economics, right, with his doctorate.
With the doctorates in money,
In monies.
in the coins. Well, the gist of this is a lot of people, not just in Texas, but specifically here in Texas, that's what the article's talking about, are having trouble paying rent and food. Like the main problem here is that rent is taking up more of their income than is, I guess, tenable? No, not tenable. Sustainable.
Yeah.
Talking about sustainability.
Sustainability, exactly. And I'm actually one of those. I want to say my rent alone is more than, like, they suggest here it should be less than 30% of your total income. Well, mine is more, actually. And that's just the rent. And I still have to pay for many more things. But scrolling through the entire article, I'm like, okay, but what was the cause? What's the cause? What's the cause? I'm here thinking they're going to blame the landlords, which is, a classic lefty move. Like, it's those greedy landlords that are spiking up the costs and making it impossible for low-income families. Well, is it just greed of the landlords? Or is it because for the last few years there was eviction moratoriums, like rental, what do you call them? deference,
Deferment? Or
deferment of payment. Like landlords weren't able to collect, and when they couldn't collect, they couldn't kick anybody out because the whole pandemic situation. And if you can scroll down, it does mention that the people who are taking the brunt of this economic hit are Black and Hispanic people. Like, why are the whites and the Asians being burdened? Like, if you can stop right there. It's been increasingly difficult for low-income households to find housing they can afford in recent years. Near the beginning of the last decade, Texas had about 753,000 housing units with rents below $600. That's fact. That's actually pretty good. But it's shrunken. Like, so costs have gone up. So now rentable housing has gone up over $600 a month for more than 300,000.
I wonder why the
units.
government just doesn't mandate renters to lower rent.
That would be socialism.
You're not being sarcastic.
No, I know. Slash S. I keep scrolling down. So it is stating this, that yes, people are having trouble. Like, rent pressures also fall disproportionately on Black and Hispanic households, who are more likely than their white and Asian counterparts to be overly burdened by rent. Why is that? Why is it that more Black and Hispanic households, they call them, have trouble paying rent?
Are they single parent households?
Well, that's the stereotype.
Are they blue collar workers?
Most of them, I want to say, like, you go into any kind of restaurant, what's the most, like, that's the stereotype that's what I'm saying. What's the biggest demographic of the workforce there? Restaurants, gas stations, whatever it is, like low income jobs. Mm-hmm. It's mostly Hispanic and Black people. Well, here where we live, it's like 90% Hispanic, or I don't know what the actual percentage is, but it's mostly Hispanic people.
But wait, you're telling me that they're having trouble juggling with 1 or 2 children, right?
Who knows? Like, it doesn't specify. But the point is, what is the reason? What is the actual... I want to go back to that stereotype. What is the stereotype of Black and Hispanic households? It's mostly just one parent that's taking care of kids.
And numerous children. Numerous,
yeah, exactly. Like, I know a few people that, like, single parent households that have more than 3 kids. How are they scraping by? Government help, because either they have a part-time job because they have to pick up kids from school and all that stuff. That's understandable. But why is it that this person is struggling by themselves? Like, we can scratch at the surface and we can actually start digging at the very core of this. That's causing these problems is fatherlessness. Like, and that's like the cliche, the right-wing cliche. It's all about fatherlessness with you people. Like, but that is a really big problem, and it trickles down to more and more serious problems down the line. Now we're seeing a lot of the fruits of that, like children that are disconnected from reality. And what's the easiest solution for a single mother to take care of the kids? Sitting in front of the TV, like, that's the babysitter now. Like, that was the deal for decades and decades and decades. It was the TV. Now, like, it's the tablets, but it's the same problem. Why are they by themselves working themselves to the bone to barely make for rent? Like, that's why more than likely Black and Hispanics are, like, feeling the pressure, more of the pressure.
It's kind of interesting that you bring that up, just from a couple of different angles, David, that came into my head while you were talking about that. But one, and I'm going to bring up the studies again. The studies. If I find the study, I'll go ahead and put a link on this. But I think, like, when a child is in developmental phase, when they're spending a whole lot of time in front of the TV, their brains actually don't develop a lot of really important critical connections in order to like to function optimally as an adult. And I think that's one of the aspects too that kind of makes it interesting too. Maybe they're not getting the high-paying jobs because they were plopped in front of the TV, you know, for so many years, especially during the developmental phase.
So the people are being made more poor, and they're being made. They are what's the word?
More dependent on.
More dependent on the government in the sense is that they're not able to climb up the social set.
Oh, right. Well, what's the propaganda that gets fed to everyone? Actually, not just blacks and Hispanics, but to everyone. Like the thing is, like, if you're a minority, you cannot succeed in the USA. That's according to the left-wing media. You need, like, for black people, you need reparations, you need racial justice and all that stuff. Like,
And then us, we were oppressed. We're being oppressed right now. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows that America was not built upon great men and women working their butts off. It was made by government help.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that the government always existed before there was the USA? There was the government.
Before the people was the government, yeah.
And the government said, "Let there be the Fed."
1913.
The creature from Jekyll Island. And also, the second point I wanted to bring up too was, and here's some more studies, but I don't recall the conclusion exactly, so don't quote me verbatim, but I think it was that you're better off being raised in a two-person household than a person who was raised in a single-person household but was actually like in the upper class. Like, you're better off having the two parents than being rich with a single parent.
And some of those studies as well, the statistics show that even if it's a single parent house, it's actually better if they're only with their father than with their mother.
Oh, I've seen those too.
Yeah, I've seen those studies as well. Like, what is it that's so toxic about? And I mean this sort of loosely. What is there that's so detrimental to the children that it's only the mother? Like, I don't know about your experience, guys, with
I don't know
a lot of the
anything
females.
about what you guys are talking right now.
I don't know. I don't know what your experience is with females. Like, aside from my wife, I've had a lot of bad experiences with females. Like, aside from my wife, like, it's been nothing but good times, happy times.
Yeah, you gotta say that.
You can tell. You can tell. Just look at me.
I would have to say, to be honest with you, the majority of my experiences with females have been mostly positive.
What's the stereotype as well there? Like, and these stereotypes exist for a reason. Like, they're more prone to emotional reaction than, you know, just being stoic and showing leadership. Sorry, there was some noise.
And we have to give it up to the moms too, because it's being pregnant is very taxing on the body. You know, they're doing like a really great service. They're really important. They're just as important as men. Men were just as important as women. You know, like there's another thing too where I guess sometimes like even their brain shrinks and it takes a couple of years for it to go back to normal size. You know, it takes a lot of nutrition from the woman's body in order to like develop that baby. You know, in order to gestate that baby. And
which is why it is much better for a nuclear family type of situation.
And we need
like,
to,
it's not just for the kids, but for the women that are giving their lives, their bodies to make new humans. You know, like, it's very taxing. Yes, and I've seen it many times. Like, it's my job, it's the man's job to be there and be the rock.
That's what I was about to say, which is why like it's really important for the guy to make sure like the woman has everything that they need. You know, the roof, the nutrition, like the medical visits, all that good stuff. You know,
Right, because if they're busy working and then they're pregnant and they have kids, like, obviously something's gonna happen. You're gonna be resentful, like, and not just because it's a woman. Oh, women are rational. It's like anybody. If you were faced with this much like stress, like, if something's gonna snap, like, well, who's gonna pay for it? Who's closest? The children. And what happens? What happens? Then we get a bunch
the
of.
study says what happens.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it takes two to tango. It's probably the easiest way to put it. You know.
No, I mean, I'm saying the men that leave their families are dirtbags. I mean, or, you know what? That's a little harsh. They need to turn to Christ and realize the error of their ways and reunite with their families.
And overall, you're needed. You know, your family needs you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but what does all this have to do with, you know, housing crisis? Well, I'm just saying that this might be a factor, but the point is, that this article doesn't shed light on any reasons why these households are struggling. You know, these people are struggling. No, about the COVID-19 help. Anyway, part of this article, it does say that, you can check it out, that these households no longer have the help that they had during the COVID-19 pandemic, which, ironically, this article says that that's part of the, I guess, part of the reason they're struggling, because they don't have the help. But the actual help that was given by the federal government caused a lot of what this problem became. Like the complete disregard of the value of the dollar, and just printing and printing and printing and sending it out to people, forcing landlords to not receive payment for several months or maybe even a year, forcing them not to evict. Like, it's gonna raise the costs at some point. There has to be a boiling point, and it's just, you know, we're seeing the results of that. And like, housing is getting more expensive. Like, we have to recover somehow. And what the article is suggesting, whoever wrote, like, if you can scroll back up to see who wrote this, whatever this person is suggesting is maybe we need more government help. Yes, of course, that's the solution. Ask for more government help. That's gonna. Thank you, Joshua Fetcher, or Fector. Would you say Fector?
I think that's how you pronounce it, yeah.
Vector?
Well, thank you, Joshua Fector, for not saying the obvious part. Much of the reason why housing costs are so high is because of all the federal aid that was shoved into the economy. You know, a lot of printed money that we don't have the value to back up that money, you know, because no one was working, or a lot of people weren't working during that time. Mm-hmm. Like, it decreases the value of the dollar. It just makes, you know, it's a fake supposed stimulation of the economy.
Deferring of the
payments, the eviction moratorium, all this stuff jumbled up together. And I'm sorry that we were harping on it for such a long time. Single parent households, like, all this stuff comes to a boiling point, and now people are finding it super hard to pay for basic rent. Like it says here, more than 30% of their income goes just to rent. I mean, I find myself in that situation. I don't know about you guys. I find myself in that situation, and sometimes it's hard to, like, juggle all these costs. I'm like, I guess I'm not going to eat food tonight. It's because all we have is rice and beans, and it's only for the kids. You know, I'm exaggerating. It might come to that. I don't know, but sometimes I fear that might happen. You know, if the trajectory continues, that's what we're going to end up seeing.
In any case, 2 points I would like to give out is that we never mentioned that businesses actually have a cost just by functioning.
Oh yeah, of course. Like there's like what a lot of people don't realize
Like we don't have to pay the lights.
Right, exactly.
We
What
don't
a
have
lot
to pay the utilities. There's no taxes to pay.
A lot of people don't realize the, oh my gosh, what's it called? The overhead of any type of business. Doesn't matter what you're running. There's a lot of overhead costs that need to be covered. Other people's salaries, for instance. That's like a huge chunk of overhead costs.
The maintenance and the upkeep of the actual building itself, all those individual apartments, having to replace the toilet, the sink, the cost of all those items have gone up dramatically.
And most complexes have their own plumbers that work around the clock. They have to be paid. The managers they receive their cut of it too, and so on and so forth.
But it's just the landlords. It's their greed. They're greedy. Like, you know what? I'll concede. Maybe there's some that are really greedy, and they're taking advantage of a situation. Yeah, sure. They're taking advantage of a situation. But most of these people are just like, this is how I feed my family. Like, maybe landlords, that's their basic, like, their main source of income. Like, if you don't pay me, then I can't maintain the house. And if you don't pay me, I can't feed my kids. You know. Now I'm in that same situation. You know, like, everything has a cost, and for people to demand the government help every single time, it just devalues your own labor and the labor of those around you. That's all it does. and it's going to take more and more money to buy the same things after an extended period of time.
Second point, we already established that Ruben is swimming in money.
Well, guys, I don't know. You guys have anything else you want to add?
Well, we also wanted to give a little shout out to all the people who have been listening and at least stopping for a few seconds to listen to us, even to comments, whether it be criticizing or giving us good pointers.
Oh, yeah.
I have yet to hear Angel tell us of a good pointer.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Unfortunately, no.
Well, then we need you guys to be inspired, man.
Come on. Help us help you.
And help us be better too.
And for those of you who do leave a comment, thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate it. Give us a like, subscribe, please. Yeah, that's how we're able to pay for this. We're not getting paid.
Now check out our shorts. We actually have like a lot of really good stuff. I wanted to make a point about that too. Like I know a lot of people are super busy. The four of us, we all have jobs. We're super busy too. And so on the weekends, I actually go in there and look at the congressional testimonies when I get a little bit of time, and I clip some of the highlights of those testimonies and some of the opening statements that are given by our quote-unquote representatives up there. And so yeah, if you guys get some time, check those out too. If you're so inclined, go ahead and check out the whole thing, available at congress.gov. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, man. Oh, one more thing.
Oh yeah.
For anybody who was wondering, this lovely little woodland creature, she's a little shy. And we're kind of workshopping a little bit to get her to participate a little more in the show. But her name is Sobo. Hello, Sobo. Hello, everybody. She's from Iceland. She's a troll from Iceland. She actually came in the suitcase, Ruben's suitcase, when he went over there. And she actually just became naturalized as a citizen here in the U.S. So, congratulations. Thank you. All right, and that'll do it.
And thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.